There are only two reasons to go to Cancun: the beaches and the parties. And over-the-counter pharmaceuticals. If you want to drink underage, if you're under 21, cheap dental work. If you're trying to evade Interpol, maybe crossing to Central America by foot. But for the sake of this video, let's just talk about the beaches and the parties. And specifically, I'm going to talk about the two best all-inclusive party resorts in Cancun right now. The most popular, the most preeminent. I'm talking Royalton Chic Cancun and Riu Palace Kukulkan. I stayed at both. All the footage you're going to see is mine. If you are looking for the full videos, check the description below. This is just the cliff notes. I'm going to focus on the energy, the action, the crowd, the vibe, the experience, the nightlife, and of course the parties. And because these are all-inclusive resorts and you're going to be at the property essentially all the time, I'm also going to talk about the food, the drinks, the rooms, the beaches, the pools, and kind of the overall experience. Price and value as well. There's only one that I would go back to, and that one is also the clear winner in terms of the fun, the party, and the overall atmosphere. Let's get these ancillary categories out of the way very quickly. Let's start with the rooms. Royalton is shockingly really strong in their rooms. And I say shockingly because, first of all, I've rarely been disappointed. Only once, and that property has since been remodeled. And also I say shockingly because Royalton and Riu, they're both entry-level properties. And the rooms at Royalton, they actually outperform. They outkick their coverage. The one in Cancun at Royalton Chic, it was spacious, overly spacious, almost double-sized. It was clean, it was polished, it had elements of refinement, had a nice bathroom. The views were absolutely incredible. The rooms at Royalton Chic are actually one of the best things about the entire property. The rooms at Riu Palace Kukulkan are some of the best Riu rooms you're going to find. It's still an entry-level hotel, and compared to other rooms at this price and just other hotels in general, they might be a little lackluster. But in terms of how Riu is evolving, the rooms are a step in the right direction with the earthy tones, the whites, the contemporary motif, and the modern design language. If you are a party and a beach person, you better listen up because there is a clear winner in terms of the beach experience, and it is Royalton Chic. This is one of the best beaches you will find in Cancun, period. If you are lucky enough to get a higher floor, the views of this beach, just the overall landscapes, are absolutely life-changing. You have Hard Rock, LeBlanc. I think Iberostar Selection Coral Cancun is very close by. This is the best area in Cancun for beaches in terms of the resorts, unequivocally. The sands are fluffy and white. The strand stretches extremely wide. It's very symmetrical. The waters are a hyper aqua color, and they're usually almost always crystal clear, which is extremely important if you're visiting this part of the Caribbean. Riu Palace Kukulkan has major issues when it comes to the beach. There are really three of them. First of all, they don't put any maintenance or any care or respect into the beach at all. They just let the seaweed accumulate. If you take a look at Live Aqua, which is right next door, it's the bordering property, that is a good indicator of what the beach could be like. But even if Riu Palace Kukulkan decided to clean up that atrocity of a beach, if they decided to turn that eyesore into something that was more soothing, it would still be plagued with two problems. And the first one is the water in this part of Cancun is rough. It is one of the rougher areas in terms of the beach experience in the city, which means you're going to find a lot of white caps and a lot of red flags. And even if you're lucky enough to hit the jackpot where they clean up the seaweed and you get a calm water day, there's kind of an edge or a cliff at the beach. It's not a smooth, flat entrance where you just kind of gracefully walk in. There's kind of a shelf and a drop off. Overall, it's just an extremely awkward beach experience. These are the two most popular party resorts, which means the drinks are extremely important. Overall, the drinks are probably mediocre at best. Royalton always does a great job at curating a cocktail list, and the cocktail list at Riu Palace Kukulkan is almost just as good. The cocktail lists are extremely similar. I'd probably give the creativity and the size and the quality a slight edge to Royalton Chic, but any shortcomings on the actual cocktail list are made up for by Riu Palace Kukulkan in terms of the quality of alcohols. You are going to find a better liquor selection at Riu. Cancun for sure was all about the parties and the beaches, but if there is a true number three category, it would have to be the pools, because that is where you're going to be partying or recovering from the parties altogether. The pools at Riu Palace Kukulkan are extremely disappointing. Like the beach, they are zero effort. As I talked about in my video, I think a group of kindergartners, small children, could come up with a more stylish design and style than rectangle, rectangle, square. Not only are the pools basic in shape, they're also extremely small, especially the main pool. For a marquee Riu and one of the leading resorts in Cancun in terms of popularity, it is extremely underwhelming, especially compared to neighboring Live Aqua, Hard Rock, and other popular resorts. But compared to Riu Palace Kukulkan, the main pool at Royalton Chic Cancun is more awesome than awful. Both main pool areas border the beach, but the one at Royalton Chic Cancun is at ground level, which means you can jump back and forth between the two within a matter of milliseconds. And as I talked about, the beach at Royalton Chic Cancun is one of the very best in the entire area. It is probably, besides the party, the main attraction of the property. Now, both these properties are budget. They're extremely economical, but you will find elements of luxury at both. At Riu Palace Kukulkan, the luxury is most evident in the lobby. Usually, Riu lobbies are filled with vibrant colors that are obnoxious, loud, in your face, and bold, but the lobby at Riu Palace Kukulkan is, dare I say, sumptuous. It's laid back, it's trendy, it's modern, it's stylish. Royalton Chic Cancun is going to have a few more elements of luxury. I talked about the rooms already. The lobby is breathtaking with the gigantic windows. You have overview of the pool area and you can see out into the beach and the ocean. Royalton Chic did a much better job of their material selection. It just felt a lot more polished, refined, and sophisticated compared to Riu Palace Kukulkan. Regarding food, both of these properties are at the very bottom of the totem pole when it comes to the all-inclusive game. A couple years ago, I would have Riu at the very bottom and then Royalton just slightly above it in terms of the brands. But today, I would actually put Royalton at the very bottom and Riu slightly above that. Regarding these two properties specifically, I would have never have guessed this. I would put Riu Palace Kukulkan above Royalton Chic, absolutely, in terms of food quality and experience. Generally speaking, the crowds are extremely similar. Both are young and fun and vibrant. I think the crowd at Riu Palace Kukulkan is going to be a bit more bipolar. And what I mean by that is that although it's generally young, they're going to skew a little bit younger and then also a little bit older, while the demographic at Royalton Chic Cancun is going to be essentially the same. It's going to stay within that 20 to 30 demographic. Neither of these properties were extremely comfortable in terms of the vibe and the atmosphere. Both felt a little overly synthetic, and I would say that's true for a lot of Cancun resorts in general. I did feel more comfortable at the Royalton property than I did at Riu. And in terms of energy, I would say that both are great. I think a lot of that depends on the crowd. And like I said, the crowd was young and vibrant and outgoing. The energy at Royalton Chic was much more consistent. It was much more predictable and even throughout the entire experience. The energy at Riu was much more extreme, both in good and in bad. The crowd got livelier, the crowd partied harder, and the crowd was more rambunctious. But also there were more dead spots. Sometimes walking around the property, I didn't know if I was at a Riu or a Wyndham. These two properties approach the party scene extremely differently. When you stay at any Riu in Cancun, you have access to the Riu Party Zone, which is the best party in Cancun. I should say the best parties. There are 4 during the week, 2 in the day, and then 2 in the night, spaced out throughout the week. And when you stay at any Riu, you have access to them. Free drinks, free food, awesome music. It is the best time in Cancun. So when you stay at Riu Palace Kukulkan, you get free entrance and access to that party. Unfortunately, it's not very walkable. Yours truly does make the walk, but most people, I'd say about 99%, choose to take the shuttle. So the party scene at Riu Palace Kukulkan, it's not necessarily at the resort, which is unfortunate. It's not like a Riu Republica or a Riu Palace Baja California, where the entire resort is the party. You're gonna find a party at the pool any time of day or night, or a party at the lobby any time of day or night. It's unfortunately not like that at Riu Palace Kukulkan. So you have to go off property to really get the true party vibe. Royalton Chic is different, where the party isn't nearly as extreme, although the parties are classier, and most importantly, they are located at property, which means you could stay within the hotel ecosystem the entire time and not have to inconveniently leave in order to access the party. Generally, the rooftop at Royalton Chic is reserved for Diamond Club guests only, guests who upgrade and pay extra for the Diamond Club privileges at the resort. When they do throw parties up there during the day and night, they do open it up to the general population at the hotel, which means even if you didn't pay extra, you still get access to the parties. And I think that is an extremely cool and righteous move. And although the parties at Royalton Chic may not be as crazy or over the top as what you'll find at the Riu Party Zone, at least you don't have to leave the property in order to access them. One place where Riu Palace Kukulkan did outshine Royalton Chic would be the nightlife. It's probably the most organic and awesomely fun portion of staying at Riu Palace Kukulkan. At night, the lobby bar just genuinely and authentically comes alive. It's a very vibrant place to be. And this is the type of feel that I was expecting throughout the entire property, like you typically get at a Riu Party property, say in Riu Republica and Punta Cana or Riu Palace, Baja California. In case you are still on the fence up to this point, let's round out this conversation with price. Price is what you pay and value is what you get. And unless you're rich and you don't have to look at prices, I think price is always going to be a very determining factor. Usually, Rius are the most affordable among the general all-inclusive brands, but Riu Palace Kukulkan is kind of switching things up when it comes to the Riu experience. This is the most premium priced Riu in Cancun, and during peak season, at its height, this can cost as much as what you maybe paid for Live Aqua next door during off-season. So you're gonna pay a lot more for Riu Palace Kukulkan than what you would pay at a traditional Riu. And when you contrast that with Royalton Chic, which is shockingly the more affordable property, and I say shockingly because almost always that's reserved for a Riu. Blindly, usually Riu is always the cheapest among any other comparison, but in this instance, not only is Royalton Chic decidedly more affordable, it doesn't have the wild, inconsistent price swings that you find at Riu Palace Kukulkan. So you can be a bit more liberal and careless with your booking. You don't have to price hunt and be strategic when you book Royalton Chic Cancun. And when you take a look at the overall comparison, it's the better property, better beach, better pools, better room, more upscale. And when you take into account that all of the parties are underneath one roof and it's a complete ecosystem, you never have to leave. That convenience coupled with the overall collective of the property, you can see why not only is Royalton Chic the better party hotel, it is the only hotel between these two that I would absolutely go back to.